Hello everybody. So I owe you all an update about what is going on with Spoonflower. A couple of weeks ago, there was some startling news that Spoonflower was shutting down its North Carolina operations slash plant and production plant. And a lot of people were super worried about what that news might mean. I got the episode out right away before Spoonflower had a chance to respond to the news. And so at that point, it was a really open question about what was going to happen. Since that time, Spoonflower has issued an update, and I put it in the description and the comments below the previous episode, but I was still getting some people who were concerned who maybe didn't read below and wanted to know exactly what was going on. So first, I'm going to address their immediate update, and then I'm going to talk a little about what's happened since that time. Okay, so on May 10th, the day after the last episode about Spoonflower aired, Spoonflower sent out an email saying that it was a hard announcement for them to share, but Spoonflower was closing its Durham manufacturing facility. Okay, so not necessarily all of its North Carolina operations. And they're going to have to say goodbye to many talented coworkers and friends and these folks that helped make Spoonflower what it is today. And they are deeply grateful for their contributions. I mean, you could be cynical about their expressions of gratitude, but either way, at least they're addressing it. So they say the decision was made purely to scale up and expedite processing and shipping by combining forces with the larger manufacturing facilities available in Tempe, Arizona and Fort Mill, South Carolina through its parent company, Shutterfly. So it says Spoonflower already began producing and shipping wallpaper and fabric orders from these factories in August 2021. So they really have been producing out of these other two factories for quite some time. And then as of August 2023, all Spoonflower orders will be fulfilled from those two locations. And then Spoonflower says as they continue to grow for the future, their focus is always going to be on artists, makers, and customers. They are here to support your endless creativity. And you know, the email goes on. This episode isn't about rehashing this entire email from a couple of weeks ago, but I did want to let you know that that was happening. Even after that update, there was definitely some concern that Spoonflower might be going the way of some other print-on-demand companies like Redbubble, aka Deadbubble, which people say is suffering a lot. We can talk about that, and I have in other episodes. But I will say, for me, happy so far, things do not seem to actually be going in that direction in terms of the company. Now, I was going to say AI art, and someone corrected me on one of my shorts and said we should stop calling it AI art because it's not art if it's made by artificial intelligence. That's an interesting point. But, you know, with all of the influx of artificial intelligence patterns, which are being found on Spoonflower, and while Spoonflower forbids them in terms of design competitions, they are not forbidden on the site. You know, there is a question of whether artists who are actually making their own original designs are going to suffer on Spoonflower the way that artists are suffering on some of these other print-on-demand sites. This is a long-term struggle that we are all going to have to deal with and decide how much of our basket we want to be print on demand as artists who are trying to make a career out of art. For me, I have decided to still keep some of my eggs in the print-on-demand basket, even while focusing a little bit more heavily on my fine art, because I think there is definitely going to always be a demand for original fine art. But print on demand has still been pretty good to me, especially as of late. In fact, yesterday I received an email from Spoonflower saying that it selected me to highlight as one of its LGBTQ spotlight artists next month for Pride Month. And I was so excited, obviously, to get highlighted. I'll give you a little backstory about how this happened. A couple months back, I did an episode on a Spoonflower webinar that was held where they updated artists on what was coming up. And at the end of this webinar, they gave artists a little hint. They said that they like to feature artists that represent different kinds of communities, but that in order to get spotlighted or highlighted, you know, Spoonflower has to know that you are out there, that you belong to one of these communities. And in that episode, I believe at least, I talked a bit about what Spoonflower asked you to do at the end of that webinar if you were interested in being highlighted as a spotlight artist in the future. So of course I took my own advice and I filled out the form and I let them all know a little bit about myself, including the fact that I'm part of the LGBT community. And guess what? It worked, folks. I'm going to be highlighted. The toughest thing for me was they asked me to choose my 3 favorite designs, and I really struggled with this. You know, and I wanted to make a strategic decision because I knew if they were going to be doing an LGBTQ plus themed spotlight feature, you know, some of my more neutral tone designs didn't really go with the theme. So although recently I've been working on some neutral tone designs that I'm super excited about, I wanted to make sure that the patterns I chose would look good with, you know, kind of rainbow or brighter themed things that go with June and Pride Month. I also wanted to make sure that I didn't feature patterns that were already selling super well. I wanted to feature some of my patterns that I thought maybe hadn't had eyes on them yet. So after struggling for a while, I did choose these 3 patterns to highlight. And it's unclear, you know, they might only choose one of these, maybe all 3 will get highlighted at some point during the marketing campaign, but either way, it got some Spoonflower eyes on those patterns. So I'm really excited. And of course, afterwards, I was already kind of changing my mind and wondering if I should have chosen different patterns. But there you go. Those are the ones I chose, and I chose them all in large scale because I thought when people are looking at, you know, their phones, if they're seeing something, some of the patterns are really not going to look as good if they're in the smaller size, even if the smaller size is going to look good on a lot of products. I'm hoping by the fact that the designs have the name large in them, that it will cue any potential customers to the fact that they might also be available in other sizes. Another thing people have been worried about is what is the quality going to be like with all of these new changes to Spoonflower. You know, as the email mentioned, they have been producing out of those facilities since 2022, so we really might not notice any change at all. And in fact, moving to this new house, as I have recently, I wanted to order at least some decor items with some of my patterns, maybe not go overboard, but I definitely, you know, wanted to have some around. So I decided to order a decorative pillow with one of my new designs on it. And it came in here, and I am super excited about this. So a little bit of backstory for this design is I had done the very initial backstory is I went to the zoo with my daughter and I was taking pictures of the animals, and one of the animals I took a picture of was a leopard. After that, I created watercolor leopard print designs. I turned it into a pattern, which is actually, when I recolored it, one of the patterns that I am featuring for the Pride Month Spotlight. And then even more recently, I think I mentioned on some episodes that I was working on sort of a Rust Belt idea now that I'm in Buffalo. And so back in the winter, I went around photographing a bunch of things in neutral colors like snow and rust and bark on winter trees. And then recently what I've been doing is taking some of my old designs as well as new designs using a clipping art technique and then making new designs that infuse those photographs. So as you can see on this pillow, it is a leopard print design, but if you get up close, these are actually made from pieces of photographs that I took of this moss, rust, and bark. And I don't know if you can tell with the lighting, but it's a slightly green background. It's not fully white. And I have been so into green lately. Green is trending. As you see, I've got a lot of green in my life. So I am all about the green. So as you can see, I think the quality in their home goods still seems really great. I'm so happy with that pillow. I have it on my new couch mixed with some other genuine mudcloth designs and some different things, and it works really well. I love bright colors, but in my new house I've decided to go for more earth tones and greens and more naturals, and so because of that, naturally I've wanted to create some more earth tone designs. All right, that is pretty much it, wrapping up for the Spoonflower news and also a little bit about my updates. Apart from that, I just got back from a wonderful quick trip to Washington, D.C., where of course I went to some art galleries and took my daughter. I also was able to go with friends, and their son's middle name is Rothko. Yes, after the artist Rothko, intentionally. So we had to go and take some photographs in front of some Rothkos. I hope you have been enjoying the end of spring, or as it feels like here, summertime. Or if you're joining me from the Southern Hemisphere, I hope you're enjoying a beautiful season, whatever that may be where you are. Thanks again for joining, and until next time, keep creating.